Back in perimeters and line setting, line position, location, operation surface. So this is how you set up location of laser line graph lines, high set locations. So there's a lot of pi recognition high setting, 72 line calculation. All right. Now setting up line communication is really to understand how this all works. You got pi set locations and set lines high setting. Okay. Now getting into that position locations opens up all levels of U in set location. All right. Now we got line calculation interference. Now we take the 3, we take the 6, we take the 2, we take the 1, and we take the 0 operation. Okay, do you see how I take the 3 and 6 and 2 and 1? Pi direction of time sequence comes in calculations, and 72 is at the top setting. Okay, so this is where you take the 7 line and set location, 1 corner set location. Right? Now you take the 7 and center line communication, center and 7. So what I'm doing right now, guys, is that you have to understand how pi is set up through your clouds. This is all done through your cerebral cortex, placebo cortex settings, mystical cortex line setting, 6 in line position locations. So we're taking the 6th line into all levels like a sprinkler in set location. Okay, sending direct line signals into a web graph line stream in Skynet, sky grid location setting. All right, the rotation surface of pi illuminates lines. Now we change that back into line calculations to black because it interlines with calculation set line in high setting. Change position locations, all levels of perimeters and set locations of pi. Pi reckons line calculation system. So it's all about understanding how to change these things, guys. Reckons locations. So 3 sets lines of 3 in position of 6 into triangulation. Okay, now get into that line calculation system. You have 3 lines, equal lines of north. The north line is west in position of equal lines of south. Coordinates and line calculation longitude. Longitude line calculation of 0008. It's that line conditions into measure. Longitude is line calculations into high setting in all structure locations into a console and 2 set location. All right. Now, this line signals the 3 and alerts the position of 6 into set line setting. The rotation surface sets position. So 3 and 6 come together in set location setting. Okay? Sets up another pi set location setting. So I'm overlapping pi settings. Now, understand how to do that. Again, you go through illumination graph lines and rotation surface. Now, when you go into that setting, you set up a new parameters and set location. Overlapping positions of pi. Okay? Now, doing that line interference again in set locations, we're going to change the channel stream. Now, the channel stream line conditions in all systems. Now, the coloration of the path, the UFO is now in red. So we're going to go through red line setting. Here comes the UFO line rotations at the top locations. Right? Scanning position locations into 2 set line setting. All right? Now, it gets complicated because it's setting a line position location of its own pi. The direction of timelines and high line interference comes in position location to its flux capacitor in set locations. Right? Direction of time sequence comes into its own diamond core in high set locations and high setting. 2 diamond core line shifts. And direction locations, we're going to change the flywheel into pi in set location setting. Right? Done by equation. All right? Now, okay. Yep. It's good that you guys are connecting that high setting, but I just want to show you how you go through longitude and latitude, the coordinate locations, and how you set up locations and all set lines. This gets more complicated, right? But you have to really understand the connections, how it works in coordinates and position, right? Because there's a lot of pi resetting. Okay, so we're going through a lot of pi calculations, right? Let's just truly understand how to set these lines of communication and locations into 4 set line conditions, right? 4 pi's. Now, we line calculation system. That's 1 line setting in position of 2, in position of 3, in position of 4 in set locations, right? And again, you get the UFO line and center line. Always have a UFO. Always have a UFO. It scans its line center to make sure you know exactly what you're doing through center operations. So it sets up a line communication into higher calculation setting in its own Merkabah set locations. Channel streamline interference sets a triangulation inline communications into its own tesseract channel of operation stream location setting. Okay? Direction of time sequence sets another line perimeter into another ground lines of zero operation to its surface. Okay? Done by equation. All right? So it's incredible how you set these things up. Okay? It's important you understand how this works. So understand how everything surfaces. It gives you a better understanding how to see the connections to the coordinate location settings. All calculations of Jupiter, line calculation system, longitude line interference. So you got longitude line setting. Okay, now we work differently in space line. You guys use communication in your satellites. Longitude and latitude, right? Longitude line setting in line communication. Longitude and latitude location cross signals. So longitude lines, latitude line position. Okay, crosses signals and set location. Right. So we use laser graph line screens. So longitude line interference sets Jupiter and set location and longitude. Latitude is set location, Jupiter into all levels of setting locations. So this is where we channel line communication into its triangulation line setting. The rotation surface and longitude and latitude, guys, you have to really understand how this sets location to your perimeters. So it's amazing how Jupiter can travel through anything through longitude line interference. Line conditions of north, conditions all levels of east line, and this kind of locations. So we have two wings. We have northwest, south, and east wing. Calculation of diamond line rotation, equal conditionalized system of its energy line. So that's two energy line rotations, equal conditions of pi in set location setting at the top locations. Energy line and line rotations change the diamond line in set locations, travels its through line setting into all back to Jupiter location set rotation. Now the travel calculation system comes into a line setting, change the line communications into 6 over line setting in position location of moon set location of travel in set locations, right? This is what you can do through longitude and latitude just through your planet setting. So this is about understanding how to surface in all levels of your mind and understand the collaboration to its surface to understand its clouds of its geometric pattern. Rotation system is position location attraction. All right, so you have to really understand these things because you're in theta setting in a new perimeter, new security, all calculations, set line position. Once you understand the track line communication settings, you understand what Pluto is. It's a security planet, guys. It's perimeters and parameters to your location setting. But it's amazing how it travels to its own set. Okay, longitude and latitude is totally different. It's the location that comes into mind of space. So you go longitude locations. Okay, so you go northwest. It's a location line setting. Zero operation to Jupiter. Jupiter line setting locations into a levels of sector and position of vector and cross stream. Line calculation system and 6 into moon set line connection system. Moon crosses over back into longitude line interference, into sector and calculations into all levels back into Jupiter set location. Okay. So you have to really get into longitude, latitude now, guys, right? Because your theta lines are in security. So the security line sets line connections to the levels of your keyboards. Keyboard frame set line high setting. So you got an alphabetical line setting, rotation. Okay, you have flash bars, and this is your computer operation. Right? So remember, center calculation has its own flux capacitor. That's what's on your computer. Center communication, travel line setting. High set calculation, set lines and high set and rotation. Direction of time sequence. Here is position locations, all levels of Pluto coming in. Pluto line, its position location opens all level lines center to your computer adaptation. Covers all sequence locations, comes into higher calculation center operation. Center operation opens up its dimensional door in 2 set locations, going back and forth in set lines of its computer of its Pluto set location. Back and track setting. That's how you set up a computer operation stream. Now, in line calculation system, you come into this line setting to higher levels of computer operation to higher position. Right? Your computer gets bigger. Center calculation line interference sets line graph lines on rotation surface and set location high setting, making sure you have balance in 3 set locations in set location setting. Direction of time sequence comes into another flux capacitor. Let's change the coil lines, compressors, and set location and travel position. All 3 computer of operation, done by equation. So I just want you to understand how this works and always informs how you actually can go through your computer set through Pluto, back in line condition high setting, all through longitude and latitude. So now you understand the importance when what your computer does and how it can travel the location of anything through planet setting, right? But set line communication system, you actually have to take out the computer itself in space. See, that's your computer. Setting calculations of travel. See, in center position. It comes out. Then all planets understand. See, it comes out. Okay. So this is a good way to get you to understand how this is all set up. All through computer. All right. So you got a 72 line setting in rotation surface. It's all set location into higher setting. Perimeters and parameters and line calculation system. So at the end of the month, you guys have a test review and evaluation and calculations. This is going to put you into your quads for the very first time. Taking you out of position location of vectors and put you in your quads. And for the calculations into all set line calculations CPU, this puts you in calculations to your connections of vector. No more sector, you're in vector. Inline communication, right? So inline communication, you understand the formation location, how it screens its setting. Direction of time sequence opens all levels of platforms. That platform and its communication system puts you higher levels of power grids, energy grids, and lines of communication to its sky grids. Laser direct location of signals opens all position location higher measures. This centers its communication system into line setting and rotation surface. Now, the planet surface line calculation system comes in all calculations at levels of travel set location. Now, you have to really understand how this all works because it sets up all graph lines center to a flux path position location high setting and rotation surface. Now, kaleidoscope line setting line position location has its platforms in set location setting and rotation surface. Direction high calculations comes into higher calculations in Fibonacci's of a double pattern. Rotation surface crosses stream lines in set location longitude and latitude line setting rotations. Setting direct signal locations comes into solar panels, orb channel line rotations into a magnetic highway information line setting and rotation surface. And center calculation line interference. So that's longitude, latitude, and zero operation, 0, 0, 3 set line conditions into 0, 0, 0, 0 into 4 line setting in set locations. So in perimeter line interference into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Pyramid set line calculation. Pyramid travels lines in set locations. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And travels line position locations and again into all levels. So the UFO picks up line communications into zero operation in your magnetic highway information line setting. It sets all set location high interference in set locations. It travels line calculation system into the magnetic field. The zero operation line setting lines its set location of new zeros and rotation surface. It goes through its correlation path and set location to its mystical cortex line setting of a new cerebral of its line communication of a brain frequency pattern. Direction high sequence opens all position of channel. The channel operation of high locations puts at higher levels of measure. Comes into triangulation high set high calculations into its own pi of a new magnetic highway force line in position location to a new ground lines and rotation surface into 72 set locations into 36 files in set locations. Done by equation. All right. So I just show you how to do pi through 72, all through number set locations. So you have to really understand how this all works, guys. Longitude, latitude, all right? See the pi line setting, magnetic highway information locations, all levels, cloud line changes, high set locations. How to use longitude, latitude. Because the thing is, you guys are in your thetas. And to really understand the sequence pattern, you have to understand the laser dot locations when it comes into your eye receptor positions. You got theta interference, and it's in line communications, all levels. You have to learn how to use your zeros and ones. Like I said, and I'll keep saying it, it's like putting you guys all together and bringing you guys into one number sequence. Because everything is morphed in position location all level settings. One is not calculation of one. One is nothing of one formation. One is everything of formation locations. Which means one is here, not here, but always here. All timelines at once has to be all set location high setting. The direction of time sequence of time pi has to understand all coordinates in longitude and latitude through all calculation to its own magnetic highway of its information setting and set locations. All done by equation. Okay? So it's incredible when you get to understand more of levels of what's happening with your set lines and communication. It's very powerful when you understand how to use these things, right? So the more you high rise, the more you come into coordinates, longitude, latitude, okay, ratios, proportions, you know. So you come into more line communication of your maps now, your geometric patterns, and you see more calculations to your clouds into its AI set location of its divisions. But the calculation line interference locations, the CPUs are coming into all calculation of vector, and position by team, a higher level set location nano settings are coming into quad set location. All right, all through set location high setting. Okay. Now it's very complicated because we have to understand what the mine is when it comes into all set line conditions, right? Mine interference line condition of flux capacitor, line condition of 0, 0, 0. I love working with zeros in 3 set locations. See? 3, right? Center calculation system. 1, 2, 3. See what I did? 1, 2, 3, a 3 line 0, and 0, 0, 0, and a 3 set location. Right? Now, you have to really understand how to operate the line communication, but everything I do is balance of travel. It's always in a 45-degree angle set locations. Until you understand that, then you get into Fibonacci higher calculations, center calculation setting. Direction of time sequence, higher levels of its position location of travels. Higher levels of its travels in set location setting. Direction of time sequence, open another panel, goes in the opposite direct locations in set locations. All right. So I'm just showing you how you guys how you use all calculations. So 1 is equal line conditions of everything. Everything location, nothing is locations. So nothing equals everything, everything equals nothing is set location settings. Right? So recognition high center line interference, you really understand how to use this through all provision locations. Center operation of 0 line into new cloud line and rotation surface in set locations. High center line calculations, cross and stream into another planet line interference in set locations. Into all calculations, into all line communication. Upswing in the line calculation setting in trial position. Okay? Now, once you get into that, you come into laser locks. This comes into a higher graph line, a holographic line setting. Okay? Now, this is an energetic path, magnetic high setting in stream. Okay? So once you understand how to travel, guys, you start recognizing position locations into point setting. Rotation surface, X marks the spot location. Right? Channel line stream, center line connection high system into a new set location. So comes in perimeters and line calculations into position high setting. Okay, opens up more graph lines, guys. The graph line sets line position location higher setting and rotations. And now this is a 4 waving cycle in set location. See the 4? The rotation spin line sets lines of 3. So everything through letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols becomes a story frame to set communication of the mind of adaptation, right? So getting in that position line condition high system, you opened up another portal operation stream, but you lace it through line communication higher levels of theta setting. It sets up a higher level of perimeter in set locations to your wave set location setting and rotation surface. Okay? Gets complicated. Now, once you understand the directions of time sequence, we go through another channel operator streamline. Setting position location is really understand how to use lines of 0 operation, right? 0 operation, right? Center line conditions, flux capacitor. Everything has a flux capacitor. Line communication always channels this line center. You go diamond core line rotation, right? Center calculation line setting into 1, 2. Take it out of the equation location of its realm set location. Now, getting that line calculation is to center line its rotation surface into 12 line signal in set locations. Direction of time sequence, it travels out of its realm. But you have to understand, if you want to communicate the 3-line setting in 3 set locations, 1 planet operation to its system. This is the planet and set locations. Communicate with the triangulation set. Now, that's 3 in perimeter, 6 in line setting, and 7 in rotations, 8 in its system, 9 in the center operation locations. All right, now this is very complicated because you have to understand how to use longitude and latitude through letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols. Each planet has to recognize you through your set locations to your keyboards, and how you use it is extremely powerful to set location. It's all levels of travel. Now, once you understand the travel, planet line changes the circle line and rotations to its position, to a hologram line setting into, you guessed it, a cup at set locations. Right? Cup comes out, travels line setting and rotation surface and higher set calculations in 7-line setting. See, the cup comes out. Cup comes out again in higher level calculation. I'm just showing you the power vector locations once you understand how to use your theta in travel communications through align calculations into a coffee cup position. Now, if you want those 3 cups to communicate with each other, you set up a triangulation path and set lines of a high set calculation. See? Higher measure. So, there's a lot of things that you have to understand how this is all set locations all through a coffee cup, through planet setting rotation. Right? How to communicate through all levels of triangles. Letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols. Through your theta setting, because you're in circular line communications now, guys. You have to really understand how to use the 0 lines, 0 operation, and 0 atmosphere line setting. Look at that. All through 0. So you got 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 across string locations. You got an ether. You got 2 line setting, 3 line setting, and 4 in regulation of time. 0 line rotation. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See? UFO. See it? Setting calculation, there it is. Right? It's all through numbers. Setting calculation line interference and set location high setting. Here comes the UFO and rotation surface and set locations. In parameters, in set locations. In line conditions of scan lines, high setting. Done by equation. See it? See the UFO? That's all through 0 operation, people. Okay? So, once you understand that line calculation, the UFO slides lines across a stream, laser direct lines of zigzag. Now the UFO comes in, scans position, triangulation of 3 set location. All right? Sets a diamond core into a box line. You guys are in a box line in your theta setting. So you got 4 lines into 7 signals. Crosses streams in the location system. Direct signals. Setting new perimeters and parameters in a line triangle, set lines, and a north line rotation surface. The UFO line travels its set locations in high setting. So you take the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, line communications 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, set communications setting and rotation surface. Here is the UFO flying out of its division locations into a new ground setting rotation. See? So, there's a lot of things you have to understand how this is all set up now. Coming to your sky grids, your Skynet line setting, understand your theta line position locations of measure. Measure on communication system is all levels of 0 grounds in operation to the mine setting. This opens up more surface locations to your set position. So once you come into that position, you come into this line condition. How to travel through a UFO set location. That's 6 channels of line setting of 0 operation, all through 1 line setting. So, all right. Yeah, well, it's about releasing pressure and communication. All right, really understand the channel line setting locations of the membrane settings. Right, your cloud line changes, AI set lines, high setting and position location, high center interference. But once you understand the 0 operation, and then you understand your box line condition, your T reception line setting, you come into this location. Very basic, right? Operation, space line, higher level position locations, another 0 line rotations going in the opposite position location of travel, and set locations. Another line rotation surface and set location setting. So we all have to learn how to travel. through set locations of 2 sequence locations of Fibonacci's in set line calculation. Center operation line calculation system to another orb line of dimensional line rotation surface in set location setting. Right? Very powerful when you can't do that locations. But the zero operation is extremely important. You have to get the grounds, lines, and line position locations into gravitation. Make sure you have a stand in set location of 3 set lines. Okay? Make sure you have our calculations to a diamond set line connection to the center line calculation setting. Okay? This is your road graph line calculation system. This is to connect set locations into your constellation path location. See it? So, sequence locations of 2 panels. All right, 2 set line calculation. All right. So, yeah, you start to see more. You know, you're starting the compass, you understand longitude and latitude. You guys are reaching higher calculation. You're in 70 lines and 72 now, and you're also in 36 position phenomenon. So we'll stop there. Okay, take you guys out of track, take you out of position locations, back in setting. All right, you guys are back. Close your windows, get your pre-flight setting locations, get in position locations, drink your waters, 5 to 10 minutes. See you on Zoom. Adios.